I'm glad I see. Now we only got to really re-say like two things.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna get these glitches out of the way. We should be broadcasting now. Just want to check on that.
Good to go. I see it.
All right, so welcome to the delayed Select Talent Coaches Show.
5 minutes.
Hey,
5 minutes. We're fine. We're
fail
fine.
forward. We always adapt and overcome, which is what everyone's going to have to do with the upcoming Coaching Carousel because it's going to get interesting, my friends. Um, but what we are here doing today is we were going to talk about that because that was the big topic I saw come up that people wanted more information on. And I figured we could run. I basically went through and ran a season in college football revamped. If anyone has a gaming PC, I 100% recommend getting it just because the rosters are somewhat updated and it feels like a different game. That's all I can say about that. But using that, we do have a guest with us today. That's Katie. Katie is the coach of the UC Bearcats, Cincinnati. And let's see. So, Katie, what do you know about Cincinnati? Uh, what are your thoughts on the upcoming season?
Well, I was born in Cincinnati, and I've really been a lifelong Ohio State fan. But like the parody of season after season just seems the same, and there's only a few games where you even want to tune in to see, do they win? Um, so I was already planning on following the Bearcats a bit more this year before any of this happened. So it was um, really fortunate that I was able to get them.
Yeah.
They were pretty high up on my list. And there was a few more. There's a few that were higher, but those are your more dominant. Um, you know, more of some of the teams that I've respected through the years and whatnot. But as far as small school and rebuilding school, they were probably number one.
I don't think the draft went in anyone's like expectation. I think maybe like two or three picks in the top 10 like actually made sense as far as like people choosing like the bigger schools right off the bat. So I was very happy and surprised at how the draft went down as in like totality because I was nervous there was going to be a lot more like volatility and like people being upset and not getting their team. And we haven't started yet, so there might still be. I hope not, but as of right now, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I'm trying to find something really quick because with that selection show, it was really interesting. I almost wish I would have just live streamed the whole process, but it took me I want to say about 10 hours
Yeah, I don't
to
envy
go
you.
to go through it. And so really it was interesting because a lot of people were regional when it came to who they picked. So like I could see there's some people from like Indiana just and I could tell that simply because they picked like Ball State, Notre Dame, Indiana, and Purdue. It was so really most people got within their top 20 picks. So if you only went down to your first 10, you were probably missing out. Um, but let me go ahead and pull this here. So
On For 134 people, I think top 20 is pretty nice.
yeah, there were just a couple of people. Like when we got down to the end, that's when you start. I want to
I
say,
mean, heck, I got a one of the ones that I wanted, and I was like pick 109 or something like that.
Okay, that's good. That kind of means this for all the not hate by any means, but like maybe confusion about it, but from some people, that kind of means the system worked. To
we
have 100, the 109th person kind of get someone up in that top like echelon that they wanted, the system worked.
yeah, like it worked better than expected. To be quite honest, I thought it was going to be more of a cluster. Um, but
Well, I mean, you can even tell that with some of the teams that went in the first 30 picks were like
yeah,
bottom half teams, but it's just somebody loves.
and one of the things we did with Select Talent was something that Bimble and myself discussed over a year ago. We wanted to get everything done early. So we wanted to get the people, like, Kennesaw State went in the top 15. That's not supposed to happen. I'm just saying, like, we got the hardcore college football guys. We want the guys that are going to be playing the game. And So, with that, we also knew there was going to be randomness, and not everyone got the team they wanted. I know there were two people with like the gamer tag, like Sooner fan or Oklahoma boy, that just missed out by 2 picks on getting Oklahoma. There were some big schools that dropped. Kansas went before OU, and just
There,
on down the line.
yeah,
But I did want to go through just how the coaching carousel is going to work if you were one of those people that didn't get the
right.
team you wanted off the bat. So, using college football revamped, I'm going to try to blow this up so you guys can see what I see. And using college football revamped, I went through the first season, and if I could click the right button, we'd be good.
If you guys have questions, please put it in the chat about like anything
Yeah,
specific to the carousel. I mean, that's kind of what this coaches show is going to be about. We're going to talk about some transfer stuff as well. I have a couple questions,
all right.
um, as well, because I see there's been quite a few moves at Cincinnati, even at UB, and I'm sure there's been some big moves at your school too, Tex. So
Oh yeah, we're grabbing players from everywhere. NILU baby. But I digress. So what we have here is almost ready. Is the little graph I have is from that simulated season. So what I did is I grabbed the top. I grabbed the ACC just to go off, and this is how college football revamp did the conference alignment. So it's not. I didn't try to replicate what we did. I just wanted to do something fast so I could show everybody what it actually looks like. If you look on the left, you got the preseason rank. The ACC looks nice. The other ones I just did by text. But you see, Florida State was ranked number 1, going all the way down to Virginia at 15 or 14. Excuse me. So this is that conference poll, and if I can pull it up here, I can show you what. It comes off of the very beginning, week 1 in NCAA 14 or revamped, and you can go down the list, and it creates basically each conference gets its own poll that the computer makes. If we have to do it ourselves, in subsequent seasons we can, but generally the game's going to put it out. And the way we're breaking down, again, the worst case scenario for select talent is we're running 10 interconnected but independent dynasties with one per conference. Really, it would only be 9. We would put some of them together, but
that's like worst case, right?
yeah, absolute worst case. Best case, we won't even need the coaching carousel because it'll all be taken care of in the game, but we can still micro it if need be. Like if
I think
someone was going to get kicked and they didn't get kicked in the game, we can still do that
it
for turnover.
should at least be 32 because Madden can
You would
take up to
think.
32. So
Well, really, the number that we're looking for would be, I think the highest is the Big Ten with 18. In theory, if you can give us 38, I think or 30, 36 would be a magic number. If you get 36, then you take 2 power conferences. You'll have like the Big Ten and the Big 12, the ACC and the SEC, and you lump those together, and then you just keep going on, and then you start lumping some of the group of 5s together. So you run probably 4, 5 at the worst case. And for all intents and purposes, Notre Dame would be considered an ACC school when it goes to aligning different dynasties. But so what I did here is I went through and ran those numbers. As you can see, I ran the numbers at week 13, which is there were still a couple of games left on the schedule right there. So you see Clemson stayed number 1. NC State looks like they were going to move up. Virginia Tech looks like they're going to move up. Florida State's in trouble at -4. Again, to go over that, anyone who finishes 4 spots or below would basically lose their school. If anyone was -3, you're on the hot seat. So for season 2, if you're on the hot seat, we have that bar set pretty high. Let's say that you pick a school, one of these, say Miami. So if you're Miami, you have to meet or exceed that number 7 in that season 2.
Well,
If
so
not,
Florida
you're
State
fired.
was down 4, right? 1 from 4,
Mm.
or is that okay?
No, they went. They're down at 5.
Okay, well, so that
So
would just
basically, bottom three are pretty much unfireable.
Yeah, bottom 3, you can't go
I
down.
mean, does it also now talking about it and talking it out, having the bottom 3, if you're a coach at the bottom 3, more often than not, no one's going to want to come there to coach, and you're not good enough to get a job anywhere else, or you're just in a bad position, one of the two. So the bottom 3 are more than likely supposed to be like that.
Yeah, and really, it's going to come down to even after this, people are still going to have the opportunity to stay at their school. So it's not an all or nothing proposition. So this is what happens at the with 1 week to go. You can see how much changed, and they only had like half the games on the slate. So when they went through, Miami wound up getting promoted. They wound up finishing third from seventh.
Which
So
is their
they go up.
preseason.
Yep, going off of their preseason, and then there's a couple of others. Florida State moved up 1 spot, so they went from being out up to being on the hot seat. So again,
That's a big deal.
Florida
That's a
State,
huge deal.
yeah. So you don't necessarily get instant popped because that would happen. We have that built in, and you can thank that wild child for this one. This is the Molly rule. But the amendment to that is Florida State next year. If this were to, and again, Florida State would basically have to win the conference to keep the seat. So that's after the first season, and we have some of these teams on a hot seat. That's when the movement's going to start to get a little crazy. So what I did is I also pulled out just to see what it looked like for everybody to hopefully quell some fears that people would have that, oh no, their school's just going to go away. So what I did is I picked, I want to say, yep. Okay, so I was actually perfect. So what you have here are 6 random conferences. I think I picked most of the big ones. And this is just the preseason rank versus what they wound up. So in the AAC, basically 4 teams wound up on the hot seat. 1 team moved up. Nobody actually failed because the teams at the top finished at the middle. Teams at the bottom finished at the bottom or didn't move up quite far enough. And again, a lot of these come down to the last game of the season. So really, the biggest surprise when running the simulation was LSU went 0-8 in conference.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Lord,
So again, I figured that's just the computer being the computer, but yeah,
outlier situation. Right.
yeah. So,
Oh,
but
yeah.
something like that. So again, when I pulled it all together, again, I missed a couple. The team with the highest number of spots they went up, and also on here, if you won the conference, you have the opportunity to move. So like Troy winning the Sun Belt would get their pick. Also, I don't think that the coach from Troy that was a trade in this week.
Yeah, I remember
That
that.
was a
Yeah.
trade. So Troy is actually a Troy alum. So he probably would just ride it out. And, hey, you win a conference championship. Your team's going to probably be in a good spot to do it again. And I can see a lot of people just sticking with what they got. But going back to it,
So what happens with that when there's a job that's open? How is there a ranking for because if like two
Okay.
different people want a certain school,
You're like 2 undefeated teams. You're kind of saying, right, that both
Mhm.
want a specific school that's opened up, kind of.
So what you would do is you would look at the teams that were promoted, and if you look here, I have them ranked just by how far ahead they finished. So we would have to, again, some of that is just going to be, we may have to go random because I don't know. Do you weight Western Michigan finishing in second place after being preseason 10? Do you rank them behind a team like, say Texas, who winds up, or Kansas State, who won their conference? Would you not give Kansas State that? We would something we would have to work out. We don't have all the kinks yet. If all else fails, it would
It
come
might be
down.
like a play now situation with like really short quarters or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, we may do something like that, but that still wouldn't be fair to the, because those teams are on such different realms. It would most likely go to conference commissioners and the people that are watching and watching all the games, and then just go from there and have an open
You're throwing
poll.
some tough decisions on us,
So
man.
Hey, that's what it
That's
is.
rough. No,
That's
you're 100% right though. You're 100. That's probably
like
we're the ones
for
going.
transparency, we have
Yeah,
14 people that we have helping me out running the league, because this is going to be, we tried that before, it's impossible, and we need to have help. So with that, we've got a group of 14 people. They would be by default your playoff committee as
board.
well.
Right.
So any decisions like that would come there. But I would give Western Michigan the benefit of the doubt. If you climbed up 8 spots, like we'll probably have to put a numerical number on what a conference championship is. So then so you would say that conference championship is worth 4 points. You take that, and then Kansas State went up another one, so that would be 5.
Also, I mean, schedule also could probably get brought into, maybe something like the committee would talk about. Because if
Well,
because if Kansas State had a, like a peach of a schedule and it was super easy, but the one that was ranked 10th and that ended up winning their conference, if they had a really hard schedule, it might be,
yeah,
it's
well, the
just
only again, it's only in conference. Like, you're trying to compare apples to apples, because there is such a difference. Like I said, Cincinnati winning the conference and then being 3-9 the next year when they go to comparing this to the Big 12. There's just no way
right,
to compare some of these teams. So
right,
I'd rather compare what you did on the field. So I would
right.
set that number at like +4. So just going over who won, Georgia. Cincinnati would have won +4, so Cincinnati probably would have +9, which would put them ahead of Western Michigan. Like, that's probably what we'll do, and we need to codify that when we have our next committee meeting. Put that down, Bimble. We're gonna have to talk about that. Like, how much does
You're gonna have to
a yep.
really tone down the or not tone down, really pound out the number system, right? Is what you're
Yeah,
saying, basically.
yeah. Just for the conference champions. Well, Katie, since you're here, what do you think about that? Like, how would you handle that situation? What's your input?
um, well, I think really the best way about it is just have set tiebreakers
Yeah,
and have it before the problem comes up. Have it set.
and see, this is
Um,
this is one of the few things I don't think we caught that just came up now as we're talking it out. But so going off of that, you would take most likely Cincinnati would have the first pick of these, which would be LSU, Buffalo, Ball State, South Carolina, Minnesota, Pitt, Duke, or South Alabama. Then,
See, in that situation, I would like to stay because
yeah, and
there's
again,
only
you would have that
there's only two
option.
jobs. Yeah, there's only really two jobs that I want over the one that I have. So
And if
that's
you're
I lucked out a lot.
if you're worried about losing your team, we also have a failsafe in there that you have to have had filled out. Where is the sheet? Okay, so on here, this is. Let me pull it down so people can see what I'm talking about. This is the first sign-up sheet that everybody filled out. So with that, you have to have one of these schools that you had selected open. Like, you had to have that too. So who
Are you
is?
talking about when the part where we pick this one school per conference?
Yes, yes. So that is the school that you will have the chance to take. So not everybody has the same options.
I think you might want to reiterate what you just said. That's a very important
Okay,
statement.
yeah. So for those of you who are worried about losing your team, you not only do you have to finish below 4 or below, like these schools, you also have to have somebody who wants that school that put it in on their preference
Yeah,
sheet.
and they wanted that school when signing up,
Yes.
and also
So,
wasn't too lazy to
Just do
just
it
to
by hey,
actually.
we
Yeah,
you're like not a super outsider, but like you can definitely attest to how many times we put it in writing that these matter. These
yeah.
rankings you do matter.
So, but like, there's a bunch of people that had Buffalo on there. I don't know if let's just pick this. If Dogs Junior 86 wants to take Buffalo, but he would have the option if he qualified. The same thing. So really, it's so you got to look at the numbers. So of these schools, someone would have to A, get promoted, B, have one of the teams that they have open available, and then C, want to take the other job.
Well,
Three things have to happen for
Yeah.
you to get.
another thing to look at though is, I mean, we're inevitably 134 people. We're going to have some turnover, some people who thought they wanted to do it, and it's just too much. So we'll have people coming off that wait list.
We're not done recruiting yet. We're
You know,
waiting to
so
ramp that up until the
well,
I just had
but
someone actually fill out the application today.
the thing is there though is, will they have to have their will they have to have it be top school, or because I mean, or do they just fill an open
well,
school?
what we
Just
would do
just
is
thinking about it, maybe it's just spitballing. I don't know if you have like a pounded out idea for this text, but like if the bottom like any of the bottom three schools that have like were slated to be higher, like anyone that is lower than 4, maybe we'll just put them in with like the lot of schools that can be chosen.
nope, you're missing a step. So what we would do then is let's say that all of these schools lose out, right? Say all of these schools are gone and the coaches took over. So what? Just straight across the board. So Western Michigan took LSU, Bowling Green took Buffalo, and so on. What we would do is realistically you would have a chance to move up. Based on inverse order. So South Alabama was the closest to not being kicked out. They would have their first pick out of those remaining schools. The the wait list is for people who leave Select Talent. Now that we have 134 people, those are for coaches that would be retired. There's two ways to leave Select Talent at this point if you have one of our teams. You can retire on your own. You just say, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. Thanks for the opportunity. Or two, if you cheat or, fail to put in the correct stats, you can go. You can be forced out. In that case, if anyone's forced out, we would open that up to the wait list. It would most likely be first come, first serve, unless there were multiple. Let's say that at the end of the season we have 10 people that say, hey, I don't want to go into season 2. Then we would we would do a random draw of everyone on the wait list for those spots, and we would pick the order off of those. So think if we have 70 people on the wait list and 10 spots, we would just pull, okay, first pick is this gamer tag. Second pick is gamer tag 2 on down the line.
I
think that's
we
the
should do a
fairest way
check
to do that.
Yeah, I think we should do a check of the dream school list first though, because like if Texas leaves, there's going to be somebody who's already playing here that's going to want Texas.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Maybe not one of the group of, I don't know, a group of however many it is now.
I think say if Texas leaves and then whoever has just say like for spitballing they have Kansas State and their dream school was Texas. If Kansas State hasn't performed well enough, they're not going to have an opportunity to move up.
So what I would most likely
True.
in this case, if say Texas retires, then you would go in and Texas would first priority I would give to these people. The ones who have proven they've done it. They've done it. They would have qualified. Kansas could take Texas. Miami could take Texas. You see what I'm saying? Any one of these that would be so you would basically add Texas to this list.
So it would actually be something that if somebody leaves and you qualify for a new job, you could go off of not just off of your dream sheet, but if Texas is open and you wanted that job, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. So it's whatever's open. Basically, these people have earned it on the field. I'm giving
Hmm.
them precedence over anyone else. Before someone who hasn't proven themselves in select talent, these coaches have done something. Especially looking at Bowling Green. Bowling Green, if you do something at Bowling Green, by all means, I want you to have your shot.
Who sat there and thought the name Bowling Green? Like, what is it? They have a bowling league? Like, what are
it's
we
a,
doing
it's a,
here? I
it's.
don't understand.
I
Like, I
think
don't.
that isn't that Bowling Green. Is it Ohio or
Is it a
Kentucky? I know
park or
there's one in
something?
each. That's where
It's
the
Ohio.
Corvette Museum, right?
The Corvette Museum's in Kentucky.
See, I always get those confused. I knew there was one for one of them had something, and then but yeah, that's how we would handle that. So then again, that may change what Mississippi State does because Mississippi State would be like, man, I beat LSU by 30 points. May not want to take it, but then again,
I wouldn't put my money on that one.
if any of these schools over here in the hot seat, it's really going to get heated in season 2 because
So
you're gonna
the hot seat, you pretty much have to win the conference.
no, you have to equal what your goal is. So what I
Oh,
should
okay.
have done is I should have gone through here and play and simmed out another season
Hmm.
to or simmed the off season to get to where their next preseason rank would be. So let's just flip flop this order, right? Let me add in one here. And we'll just take the Big 12, put their results here. So, looking here, Louisville would have to finish 1 or 2. SMU would be predicted to finish first. They would have to win the conference. Houston would just have to finish 6th, 5th, 4th, or up. And then Rutgers would just have to finish in the top 7. That's how that would work.
Rutgers.
Yeah, again, this is just by default. I didn't mess with the realignment.
Okay.
Revamped is different. They kick some schools and move some schools around. But that's really how it will play itself out with the hot seat. So you can see some of these. That's going to be tough to do. But you still have a chance to finish out your season recruiting. You know what I'm saying? You get your
Hmm.
you have more of a chance to stick with it. And again, Houston would be fine. It's if they were picked 6th. Again, I don't know how accurate this would be. I didn't run
I
it.
have a couple questions from the chat when you're ready.
Oh, go for it.
So, someone said, not sure if the question has been asked and answered, but say we get to selection time for 12-team playoff, how are at-large bids going to be determined?
Playoff
Uh,
committee. Playoff committee. The conference commissioners. You've got 14 people. We're keeping them silent for now, but everyone does have their own role. I am not one, but I would be basically a
That was done on
tiebreaker.
purpose, I think.
Yeah,
It'd be fair to say that was done on purpose.
yeah, and then the only 2 people I will confirm are myself and Bryce here. So with that, it would come down to just comparing the teams, seeing how everything worked out, and these would for the at-large bids, these are not losers of your conference final because almost every conference is going to have a championship game. That's also why we moved UConn and UMass into Conference USA, just so they would have that additional championship game. With the idea is, if you finish 3rd, if you don't go to that conference title game, you have a better shot at making the playoffs. But really, we're using that conference championship games as a playoff game itself. So with that, the only other oddity is basically the 8-9 game is going to be the winners of the Mountain West and the 2, 12, 7, whatever you want to call it. However, that's going to work itself out. If we can delete the Pac-12, then we will, and just run with one conference, because it actually, I ran off the numbers. We ran basically.
Someone said, "Thank God Nebraska is at the bottom, so I won't be on the hot seat." That's Omar, right? I think.
Yeah.
Someone also like asked like, so basically if you're promoted gets first job openings, then relegated gets next pick, then waitlist. That kind of how the chain of command goes for teams.
That it may be promoted waitlist for leftover openings and then demoted. And demoted would be on the scale of how far down you went. LSU at -11 is probably getting the last pick, period. I think that's the fair way to do it. Because again, we're going to reward the winners. We're not going to reward the losers as much. But that's how life
Makes
goes.
sense. Right?
Well,
So,
So
you can't fail up. Sometimes
is
you
it
do, but
is it set in stone that we're also going to be doing a Madden in the same universe, or is that just something that's been being kicked around?
if we have 32 people that want to do it, we will.
I would be one of those people because
Yeah.
I would love to. I would, and like this is just me personally. Number one, I just like Madden more. It's just my personal preference. It's I with it, like anyone else that likes college more. But
Hmm.
my big thing would be I think it would be a lot better for me to be a commissioner and not play. I
Yeah.
think I'm doing that right now just because like I'm cool with it and I'm fine with it. But I would much rather forward the Madden League
And
or
that's
STCFL
and that's
and yeah.
that's probably what we'll do. We'll probably put Bimble on that and let him branch off a little bit. But the idea is it is the same universe. So if you go 0-16 at Arizona, you're probably going to wind up back in college, and you're probably going to wind up back in college somewhere around the wait list. Like basically, you would be put in. I would put the people coming in from college and around that same pool, depending on how they left. I don't know what you would consider the NFL because I wouldn't put it above some of these schools that like Florida at +6. I wouldn't think that the college coach. We can also go off of their previous record, which wants me to show you one other thing that I did really quick. That might be interesting for everyone to see. Let me pull it up here.
Who knows this? He asked me if I like Madden more. As of right now, yeah. But I think like the big thing is like I don't know how like I've played revamped a little bit. I'm not a super big fan of it. It's kind of like playing like a modded GTA 5 or something like that. It's just I maybe this game will come out and completely change my mind. Who knows?
Well,
Maybe it.
I started out like I play Madden now just because there's no current college game. I played every game from Bill Walsh on the Sega all the way up.
Hmm.
So like
They're the best.
when Madden and NCAA were both out, NCAA always had to seem to have the more realistic mechanics. I mean, Madden they seem to run kind of funny where NCAA they actually had like same engine, but it was different, and plus I've always loved college more than pro. I mean, one big
Yeah.
thing is that most of the players there are there, a to get an education, of course, but they love the game, where you get to pro and it's a job.
Hmm.
Uh, Unfortunately, that's changing with the NIL now.
True.
Normally, I
True.
agree with you, but now,
True.
with the next coming like 5, 6, 7 years, I mean, even now, I can't. Maybe the Tulsa coach was asking how they're recruiting. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. It might have been Tulsa's coach, and he said, "This is how we're doing it." And he like opened up his phone and like he was like, "The first question this guy asked me is how much is like him and his family gonna get?" Because at this other place he was at like a guaranteed like NL like deal.
Yep. I saw something this week where I was listening to an interview with the coach from UTSA, and he said that every one of my starters was contacted by another another school. Like everyone was at least looked at. So, and that's going to be a thing. Like that's one of the reasons when I was going through my team selection, I started with the Power 5 simply because I can see that it may be really tough to take one of these schools like Troy. I know that in that simulation they won the conference, but how many of those guys are going to be gone? Like
Yeah,
recruiting is going to be especially if
oh,
we can get 134 people together, recruiting is going to be so terribly nasty. It's going to be fun to watch.
that's that is the way. Like if there's 134 slots, the
Oh,
like
by all means,
the
we're gonna reach out.
because the transfer portal is going to be a nightmare if there's not. So
So let me break topic really quick and just show you what we're doing here. Basically, we have another form that's going to be sent out to everybody again when the game comes out, where we're tracking the official stats. So it's another form. It's quite lengthy. Most of it is done for you where you just select your team, select the team you're playing against. It's going to take a minute after each game. It's probably going to take you 10 minutes for post game, and then you enter your score. So the reason why we do all of this, and then we start asking questions more specifically about what you did on offense, where you enter just numbers, and we go from there. And I
Is there
managed.
a Dropbox spot for like a screenshot of the end of the game stats?
No, we're gonna have it, but they're going to just enter this. We're gonna have everyone do it for every game. So every select talent game, you do have a little extra homework. You got to fill out the paperwork. We're even tracking extra point conversions, extra point attempts, because with that, we are able to go through and we pulled out, as you watch this slowly scroll, 76 different data points. Every one of these where it says divide by 0 is something uh, comp that's going to fill out because of something else that's been filled in. So your opponent's passing percentage, their yards per pass, we're going to have all of the numbers. Again, we wanted to have it set as a coach sim. This is how it's going to be done behind the scenes. Even then, you're going to be able to go back, and this is going to be viewable by everyone. It's going to be protected, so no one can make any edits to this. The only edit is the one time you put this in, and we do track the timestamps as well. So,
That's gonna bring up a lot of talking points for
oh yeah,
like,
well
or
even
just
then,
like rivals, or
oh
just like
e-
how
that
people need to perform better.
that brought up a question that I had. So people are going to be able to watch our games and everything. Um, it is it they're going to be able to watch one or the other, or like will they be able to see our play selections and everything? You know how like you're actually sitting and watching somebody play,
So
or
so there's on Twitch or YouTube, whichever one you decide to stream on. If you get the app, it's like usually it's either called like YouTube Studios, or you can manage it directly. It's called like Direct Board Stream through Twitch. You can actually set up your um stream to have like a 5 minute delay. So everything that they see is going to be something that happened 5 minutes ago. And you could also set it to like,
well, where I'm more of looking at is, because I know me, I'm gonna watch my next opponent. I'm gonna watch 3 or 4 of their games.
yeah.
When I'm watching that, is it gonna be like the actual like you were watching their screen where it pulls up their play selection and all that, or is it more like watching a game?
oh, you may want to start hiding your signals. If you put play, if you show your play
I'm high
art,
on Connor Stallions.
no, if you pull your if you put your actual play art on the game, it's going to be seen. But at the same time, this is saving everybody time as opposed to going through a whole week where you would go through and diagram everyone's routes anyway. Like this is stuff
That's
that
what I
the
was just gonna say. You're gonna be
yeah,
looking at the type of offense that the person is running
you're
anyways.
Mhm.
I know I am, especially you're gonna look at what formation they're in, whether or not you can see exactly what play they're running. Like if it's all run out of if they run 30 different plays out of the same formation, you might be able to tell a little bit by a guard pulling or something. I don't think it's gonna be a giant problem.
Yeah, and then
It's a
going.
good question though.
But yeah, no. So yeah, the answer is yes. They will see it. You can put that delay on. I don't want anyone like watching it live. Like I don't want your opponent watching live. Like
Right.
you're.
I would
Right.
suggest just doing the like at least a minute delay at the very least. I would just
Yeah.
or just to keep yourself safe because they're gonna be looking at you running 60 yards down the sideline when they finally see what play you picked.
So once we get before we get started, like the week the game comes out, maybe slightly before, everyone's going to be able to get access. We're going to give all the current coaches access to this folder here. So you're going to be able to go through, and I don't have all of these done, but basically you would go through and you can pick the team, go to Army, and you'll have just a quick synopsis. This is what they'll have to fill out themselves. And really, this is probably going to auto pull from the main official stats because we have your score and it'll just pull.
Well,
It'll tell if you won or lost, and then the only thing we'll do is you'll enter the game film link for each game. So you'll have that YouTube link here, YouTube link here. We'll keep it really concise, and you'll get just a snapshot. And again, you'll be able to go in and find their stats here on the game stats. Again, there's nothing here, but you can sort by team as well.
so if there's 134, we really wouldn't. Oh, which is what we're all hoping for. We really wouldn't even need that because we could just go off what the game has on their stats.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but again, we have to be
if it's
prepared
all
to.
in one,
Right.
You got to prepare for the worst, unfortunately.
Yeah,
With
Yeah.
EA, especially with
It-
EA.
It's EA. They're going to do 132.
yeah. So
Ah, I don't even know. Would we just like kibosh two teams at that point? I don't know.
don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
So
No,
another thing I know that
what we would do in that case is most likely, if that was a hypothetical, let's say they cap it at something stupid like 100, we would probably split the group of five and power five, just straight up, and let them have at it, each their own, and then again, playoffs would most likely be run through that, but realistically, we'd probably still have a play now situation for the playoffs.
So I know of two questions that have been asked that I'm going to try and throw out there. One is if they do end up doing an update for FCS, are we going to be adding FCS teams to this?
it all depends on the manpower, basically, right, Tex?
Yeah, like again, it took 14 people and a year, like almost a calendar year to get this far. So we would need the recruiting would be hard because you would have to fill out. I mean, everyone will take Jackson State, but you're going to have trouble filling Valpo and Eastern. Where is it? Eastern Illinois.
If we think
Yeah,
like the
so-
mid-major, like D1s are hard to fill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
like
Yeah, Towson.
people are gonna be like the total population is 430. Why would
I would love it. I would
What's that?
love it. I would love it if they added the whole thing for 26 for college football 26. If you could swap in all teams and we could do it, I would 100% split the conference, split the leagues. Again, if we had
It would be two
134,
separate leagues,
yeah, it would basically be two separate leagues, but it would all be within select talent. So you would have I'm old. I'm thinking 1AA and D1, single A and double A, but you would have them
That's
being
been a
able
minute.
to flow back and forth between your FCS schools and off at the NFL. So you'll have pretty much all the boxes all connected. So in theory, you could take you could take Jackson State. We may set a rule where you have to go from one FCS to FBS, and then from FBS to the NFL, and maybe put that in there, just because the level of competition. That's going to be almost two
Oh,
different
yeah.
games. Like
Yeah,
it's going to be two different games if you're playing that, and then you wind up.
No pro coach is going to an FCS school looking for looking for a head coach, maybe like a quarterback coach,
Yeah,
or
Yeah,
but
definitely.
yeah, no, that would I
so
would
the
love to do it, but don't expect it this year because that took too much. You don't know. I work 50 plus hours a week, and I've been putting this on the side, and for I want to say I probably spent a solid 2 months of my off time, including the weekends, to get this far. It's just a lot. Now that we
so
know what we're doing, it's going to go smoother. But that first part was rough.
yeah. So the other thing I've seen asked is about whether we'll be um, on mic with each other for the games, or if it'll just be off mic where you're just playing a game, or will it matter?
I would love for that to be personal preference. Unfortunately, I probably see that as
Most likely off.
most likely off just because like for me personally, I'm going to have my own dialogue with like my like the Twitch chat because I stream
Mm-hmm.
anyways. So that it'll be, it'll be one of those things where if you don't have anyone in the stream, you're not going to be talking to them and more than likely just to I hate to say it, but like I'm all for like not having censorship, but you can't really trust people.
So
We can't have someone
Yeah.
screaming like unbelievable obscenities like on
I
a
can
highlight
answer it. I
play.
can answer it
Like,
simpler than that. Coaching simulator. You can't talk. You can't. You can stare at the coach across from you, but
right,
you
I
can't
support
talk to the
right,
coach across the field.
right.
So
That's true. That's true.
that's where it would come down to. By all means, we'll have our highlight shows, and by all means, let it go in the chat to a certain extent. To a certain extent, I know there's people that are gonna absolutely hate the way I coach because
Oh yeah, yeah, me too.
I'm running six. I'm running 6 to 8 plays, and I'm gonna go off of what you do, especially
I
on
want to.
defense. Like,
Yeah, that's what I do. I want to play you year two. I'm just
oh,
saying, because I feel like you run out of the I formation as well.
oh no, oh no,
No,
no, you'll
no.
find out. You'll find out. No, no, you'll know my play style as soon as the game launches. Just watch the first stream.
Depending on what playbook I find, if I can find a playbook with the Maryland I that's got the other
I
stuff
got
that I like,
I got
we're gonna be
really
running some Maryland I.
I got really lucky with SMU because Coach Lashley and I see things eye to eye. We're gonna go tempo. We're gonna go wide, and we're gonna go really, really fast. I'm an Art Briles fan, so think that 14 Baylor team that got snubbed for Ohio State. That's what I'm looking to run. We're going like I don't want to give you time to set, and you're not going. My opponents, your defense is what you pick on that first play. We're not going to go into the huddle.
Yeah,
Until I decide we're going to do that. I'm taking full control with that offense, and that's how I play in general.
yeah. That's what I've been doing for years. So
So
I get
yeah,
you.
you're going to be a lot of people like that. So just, but it's all about read and react, both on offense and defense now. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see how things go.
Someone asked, "Are we gonna have color commentary from the committee members during the games of the week?" I don't know if it'll be specifically from like the committee members, but I personally, I don't know how Tex feels about this. I would love to do color commentary or have color commentary if I'm not playing or whatever the case is, or like I think it would be cool, but I think there's just like a bit of like a logistics problem. I don't know how me and Tex would be able to live stream. We might have to stream cast other people's streams or
Yeah,
like
we would have to dub over the top. We'd have to stream over the top of the stream, which
isn't a
we
giant
can
problem, but
do it.
it would right. It would
We
just
can
take a
do
little
it,
bit of
but
setting up.
but it's
I would like
that's
to, but
that's think Final Four. Think Final.
right.
It's got to be a big game for us to do that because look, even the game of the week. That's 16 games of the week. On top of the conference championship games, there are just way too many games for us to be able to do that. So when we think game of the week, I'm thinking instead of the 1 minute Sports Center rundown, you're looking at the 4 minute in-depth breakdown, but not the don't expect anything more than your 4 minutes
Depending,
for-
maybe maybe like a Rose Bowl or some crazy, maybe we'll talk about it. Would be cool. At
Again,
like
we
the
need the people to
championship or
do it.
something.
We need people that want to get on the mic, and it's getting that time, because that's more time you're taking from people that would be, hopefully I'm playing in that game.
Same. That's what I'm thinking too. But
I'll color commentate while I'm playing in that game if you want me to.
Oh no, we want outside announcers to cover the games. I've got probably six
I could
people
pull
that
out
want
my
to do
inner
it.
Gus Johnson.
Oh, I wish Gus was in the game. That's the one
Oh, me
announcer. He
too.
makes college
But
football fun.
I don't think they could really. He's so good. I don't think that logistically they could even do that with how much
Oh yeah,
clarity there
he
is with
would.
what he says. And
Oh yeah, it would be fun. It would be fun. It would take him forever. But
uh,
again,
it would,
they're recording like days worth of commentary. I'm so excited for this game because I think it's going to be good. Because look at the file size compared to NCAA 14 to a modern game. Like I expect this to eat up half of my PlayStation. I expect updates during the year, like in Madden. So that's going to be interesting because the teams again we're playing now. The only thing I think that would be a problem, the biggest problem I can see is if we have to manually edit rosters in between seasons, between season 1 and season 2. That's going to be
I
the
think
only technical glitch.
with server hosting now, I think by the time we get to season 2, there may be hosted servers to where we could have 134.
We're working on that ahead of the schedule. We're already talking with EA. By talking with EA, I send an email, and we'll continue to send emails once we get the that next release here coming up.
we're talking. It's just
So
that
we're talking. They are not talking.
No, they're not talking.
Gate is
But
very
hey,
good.
EA,
Other
134. We've got 134 people 1-on-1 Dynasty. You could make that happen. It's not too late. But yeah, that's where we're at. That's the goal. I think that would make everything go so much
Hopefully-
smoother. We can throw this out the window and just run it.
I think
Yeah,
they're pretty
hopefully
much
on the
covered.
16th, they let us know how many teams in the
Oh, I'm
preview.
hoping they say 134 right off the bat.
Oh, I
Like,
am
that's-
too. But
Right.
If I had one
forward.
Christmas wish.
I think if they don't say how many,
Well, that was abrupt. It looks like that meeting ended. And, well, look forward to talking to everybody next week. We'll have another one of these coming up live around 8 o'clock next Sunday. We're getting better every time. Hope you have a great evening. And, again, we look forward to